What's up, guys? Welcome to the Put Me In Coach podcast,
where we go beyond the headlines and deep dive everything NFL.
I'm Ian.
And I'm Andy.
Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you so much. All right, my man. Welcome, everybody.
What's
Welcome,
happening?
Andy.
How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. We're going down to the Big Easy, man. One of the coolest
Yes,
cities
we
in
are.
America. One of
Very
the best
cool
fan
city.
bases in America.
Yeah.
Great stadium, great atmosphere, great everything. Nolans, man. The Big Easy. The
Yes, sir.
what is it? Who dat?
Who day?
No, that's Bengals. Who Day's Bengals.
Oh, yeah, right. That's right.
Yeah, it's confusing.
Why did the
same thing.
Bengals copy that? I don't understand why the Bengals copied that. That was really whack of them.
It was too cool, man. They had to steal it.
I guess.
Look, man, we are in such a weird zone as fans of the NFL with this team. I'm really excited to get into it, guys. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe, get after it. Before we go too crazy on New Orleans and kind of going down the rabbit hole that is this very confusing team right now.
Mm-hmm.
Let's roll the clip, man. Play it. All right, welcome back. Look, we start all of these the same way. I think my last year recap is going to become a broader conversation this time about where this team is right now. But just to kind of pick up where we left off last year, I mean, it was a mediocre season in New Orleans. I think every fan, who was in on this remembers it's a 9-8 year, second in the NFC South. You were right there. You almost had the ability to take over, but Tampa beat you out just barely. It was kind of a neck and neck race between you and Tampa all year. It's a winning record. It's an improvement from 7-10, which was your record in 2022. Your only win all season last year, though, against a playoff team was Tampa Bay. You split with Tampa Bay. You beat them in their building towards the end of the year. That's your only win against a playoff team last year. So it's a bit of a fraudulent 9-8. I watched a decent amount of this team last year because Andy knows I'm a very big Alvin Kamara fan. He's been one of my favorite players for years. So I did watch them quite a bit after he got back from suspension. It didn't look like a winning record. It was messy football. It was inconsistent offense. It was lacking in identity. It was choppy. It was ugly. It was chaotic. It felt like a lot of Derek Carr yelling. I just didn't see cohesion, and I didn't see a team that is moving in the right direction. So that's 2023. I want to start off this episode not so much with personnel, but with a man named Mickey Loomis. Sometimes in life, it's incredibly difficult to pivot when we've had success. The good times are the good times. Every guy watching this has had some moment in their mid-20s where your friend or your mom or your girl or somebody told you you're drinking a little too much, you're smoking a little too much, and you have to make an adjustment. You have to pivot into the new person that you want to become, right? I believe that time is now for Mickey Loomis. I think that Mickey Loomis has been a very successful GM for the New Orleans Saints. I mean, the wins, the losses, the runs, the playoffs, the division titles, they all speak for themselves. He's built a great roster multiple times over. And in the Sean Payton, Drew Brees era, his way of doing things and his way of building rosters got them to a lot of wins. Where he is now is different, and it's a different time. And I don't know if Saints fans are willing to quite accept where you are now. I don't know if Mickey Loomis has been able to accept where he is now.
Thing is, you ain't that thing no more. What you used to was.
He speak for all of you?
I'm speaking for me.
And I'm wondering how this team is going to pivot to the next chapter, which I believe is tear down, rebuild. Mickey Loomis hasn't had to do that, really. He's had Sean Payton. He's had Drew Brees. He's had these staple pieces, guys like Cam Jordan for the last many, many years, guys like Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas, who's gone now. It's a new era, but they brought everybody back from last year. They ran back the same mediocre roster they had last season. You started this offseason $80 million over the cap. You seem... here's what I'll say about it. This team and this GM, this front office, must get out of the business of nostalgia and into the business of reality. And from what I'm seeing right now, I don't know that they're willing to do it. And I'm wondering if the credit card bill is going to be a brutal one this season with this team. I want to kick it back over to you because I don't really know where to start. There's some coaching we're going to discuss. There's some personnel. I think I want to start with the quarterback because we have a lot to get through. But to me, nowhere is this hypothesis and this statement that I've laid out more evident than this quarterback. You had Andy Dalton and Jameis Winston. Why'd you pay Derek Carr $100 million?
It makes no sense.
I mean, you upgraded, but you upgraded, three or four.
You didn't upgrade. You didn't upgrade. Not even kind of. I mean, it's you did, but you didn't.
You upgraded in a very, very, very short-term, small sense. You know what I'm saying? You went from
you upgraded from the 26th worst quarterback to the 22nd worst quarterback. Yeah, sure. Yeah, 20th. There you go.
Yep. But again, in the process, you're having to commit to $100 million of salary. So, to me, Derek Carr is the embodiment of Mickey Loomis's, I don't want to say arrogance, I don't want to say stubbornness, I don't know what word to use to describe it. But I wanted to pass it over to you because to me it's so clear that the time is now to rebuild and move on from these pieces. And then the front office goes out and grabs Derek Carr for $100 million last year. And where are you on Carr? I mean, he's a polarizing quarterback. So why don't you give us your thoughts on him real quick?
Sure. He stinks.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
No ifs, ands, or buts about it. He stinks. He's not good. He's a bad quarterback. I mean, you have to remember this guy. His own team let him. They just cut him. They didn't trade him. They cut him to bring in Jimmy Garoppolo and then bench Jimmy Garoppolo for Aiden O'Connell. That's how bad Derek Carr was. They were just like, you can leave. We're going to bring in Jimmy Garoppolo because that's a better option than you. To go back to Mickey Loomis a little bit, though, before I get too deep into Derek Carr, I think Mickey Loomis is he hit a home run with Sean Payton, with hiring Sean Payton. He hit a home run with bringing in Drew Brees. He's been living off of that one home run for the last 20 years. And I'll be the first to completely call him out on it. It's ridiculous. I'm not even sure you're a good GM, to be honest with you. I don't, at least at this point, I don't think you are.
Begs the question. It does.
It does beg the question. Granted, the picks that built the team that ended up being the mid to late 2010s, home run hits. Your Cam Jordans, your Demario Davises, your Marshawn Lattimore. All those picks were really, really strong picks. So I have to give you credit for that. Michael Thomas, another one. Alvin Kamara, another one. Those were all guys where you were really in your bag. As of late, I just wanted to go over the first round picks because those are the ones you definitely can't miss on. 2020, you take Cesar Ruiz out of Michigan. He's been completely whatever. Payton Turner, 2021, defensive end out of Houston, a complete bust. I mean, like literally like fourth on your depth chart, complete and utter bust. 22, you have 2 picks. You go Chris Olave at 11 out of Ohio State. He's been pretty good. Then you took Trevor Penning at 19 out of Northern Iowa. Another complete and utter bust. A complete and utter bust. I mean, I don't want to mince words. Complete bust. Last year, you go Brian Brees. He had promise, so he, sure, he could be something. But again, he's an interior D line. He's not a left tackle. He's not an edge piece. He's not a quarterback. He's a D tackle. It's like, what are you doing? Like, I mean, you took Fuaga this year. I'll give you credit for that. You took Fuaga at 14. Hopefully he can be something. I don't know what he can be, but if I'm looking at the other offensive linemen that you've taken recently, I hope he's not that, because you're not good at drafting offensive linemen. You haven't been good at drafting offensive linemen as of the last 4 to 5 years. So I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things where I feel like he's past his prime, and those teams, much like we talked about in the Denver video that got so heavily criticized, those teams did not capitalize. That 2018 Saints team should have gone to the Super Bowl and probably should have won it. But you know what? They didn't. You can sit here and you can cry all you want about the missed PI, whatever. I watched Drew Brees throw an interception the first play of overtime. I don't want to hear it. You should have won that game. You were the 100%. You were the better team both years. You let a 45-year-old Tom Brady come in and dog walk you. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. You guys missed your opportunity to get that second Super Bowl, and now it is time to burn the building down, because this ain't it, and it's going to be another 7 years before you guys are competing again, in my opinion. Your quarterback stinks, guys. He stinks. He's a boring check down Charlie with no balls. He is just good, and the problem is that, like, he stinks in the way that the
most annoying.
I don't know.
Stink.
Like, he stinks. He doesn't suck. He doesn't suck like Zach Wilson sucks, right? You look at Zach Wilson, you're like, all right, we're gonna lose every game you start. Derek Carr, he's going to go win you 8 games. So the problem is that you're never going to be drafting in the top 5. You're really not even going to be drafting the top 10. You'll be drafting at like 13, 14, or 15, which show me the franchise quarterback at those positions. Show me the franchise edge at that position. Show me the franchise left tackle. I mean, it's rare, like you're going to get good pieces there, but you're not going to get the most elite pieces. And you guys need the most elite pieces right now. It is time to start over. Again, it is time to start over. You cannot do this anymore. You can't do this anymore. Derek Carr is he has no feel for the pocket. He's the most scared quarterback I've ever seen. It's like he's a robot. He does it. It's like, hut. 1, 2, 3. Oh, nope. First read's gone. Boom. Check down Charlie. Boom. There we go.
You know what he reminds me of?
What's that?
You're gonna love this. I think a lot of you guys will relate to this, but I know Andy will especially. He reminds me of when you're playing the CPU in Madden.
Oh, 100%. 100%. That's what he is. That's 100% what he is. And it's like
it's never any bad Brett throws where it's like into double crazy picks. It's always just missed throws. It's like inaccurate passes that he it's he even has like a Madden like reaction, like a computerized Madden where he like kind of like goes like this.
Bro,
and he's like, it's just an overthrow or an underthrow.
His team traded their future to bring in his best friend to play wide receiver and then cut him 9 months later. I mean, that's how mediocre this guy is. He's the definition of mid. He's just stinky. He's just like, oh, you're there. You're a guy. If you're rolling out Derek Carr, especially at this point, he's like, I think he's 32 or 33 years old. If you're rolling out Derek Carr in 2024, just like playoffs, nope, that's done. You're not gonna win anything of note. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear about how, but he's done that. No. You guys stink. He stinks. The offense as a whole kind of stinks. I don't know. I mean, do you have anything to add? I mean, are you going to seriously sit here and tell me and you mentioned it before, but are you seriously going to sit here and tell me that you guys would be better off, that you guys were better off moving off of Andy Dalton and moving off of Jameis Winston to pay Derek Carr $100 million? I mean, I really want to know from a Saints fan's perspective, do you feel like that was the right move? Because I can tell you right now it wasn't. You might as well have just kept Andy Dalton in there, and then you would have had a chance at one of these quarterbacks last year. 100% you would have. You know what I mean? Are you better off with Derek Carr today than you are with JJ McCarthy today? Are you better off with Derek Carr than Michael Penix or even Drake May or Jaden Daniels? Like, you guys would rather just roll forward with Derek Carr than having at least some fresh young blood in there? I mean, it's ridiculous.
It's tough. It's tough, man. It's a really tough place to end up because, and again, I mean, I want to blame Derek Carr. I want to blame Dennis Allen, but I have to blame Mickey Loomis. I think that Mickey is, of course, afraid. I think, and I by the way, I mean this genuinely. I'm not being condescending. I understand the fear, right? Your job's on the line. Your legacy's on the line.
Yeah,
you don't.
100%.
It's the same thing with as Lions fans. Before we traded away Matt Stafford, before we brought in Dan Campbell, and Jared Goff, who you guys all probably know. If you're not a Lions fan, you might not know that Matt Patricia and Bob Quinn were our head coach before that. And we were picking 3 overall. And we picked Jeff Okudah, a corner. And they sold the fan base that because of Matt Stafford, we're in win now. And they kicked the can down the road of the rebuild. And finally, we got a new GM and a new head coach, and they traded Stafford for 2 first-round picks and Jared Goff to Los Angeles. And then the rebuild started. And we were bad that first year. We were terrible. Mm-hmm, you guys have to rip the Band-Aid off. And I'm worried that this is an arrogance and a fear and an ego and a pride on Mickey's end to go out and pay Derek Carr $100 million and go, look, I can't be bad. I can't be bad. I can't be bad. Not even for a season, I can't be bad. I can't let them think that it was all Sean Payton. I can't let them think that it was all Drew Brees. Screw that, dude. You've got your Lombardi trophy. Like, do the right thing and be honest with your fan base, man. Selling these guys 100%. A bill of goods that you're competing is such a lie because you're not.
You're in purgatory.
You're not.
You're in purgatory right now, and it's the worst place to be in. At least when you're terrible, there's a draft at the end of the tunnel. You know what I mean? It's there's no lottery. It's not being terrible like the Detroit Pistons have been the last 3 years, and you end up with the 5th pick. If you're terrible, you get the 1st pick. If you're kind of terrible, you get like the 8th pick. If you're in purgatory, you get anywhere from like 12 to 19, and that's where you guys have been forever.
And you're living a lie. Go right now. Anybody who, let's just do an exercise. Those of you watching, do you know a Chicago Bears fan? Go ask him right now if he's happier with the idea of Caleb and this rebuild that's taking place, or he wishes that you guys were going to win 7 games or 8 games with Justin Fields or Mitch Trubisky. Go ask a Houston Texans fan. Was it worth it? Was the Lovie Smith year worth it? Was trading Deshaun worth it? I think they're feeling pretty good. I mean, even Panthers fans who lived through hell last year, they're excited. They got a new coach. They got Bryce Young. There's Lions fans. We lost Matt Stafford and then watched year 1 with a new team. He won a Super Bowl. You know how hard that was? You know how demoralizing that was? Guess what? Wouldn't trade it for anything. I love Jared Goff. I love Dan Campbell. I'm excited for the future. And Mickey Loomis is doing this fan base a disservice. I want to pivot into coaching and offense. We'll touch on Dennis Allen a little more when we pivot to defense. The long and short of it on Dennis Allen, I don't think he's a head coach in this league. I think he's a great defensive coordinator. But the problem is he's not an offensive guy, and he's also not a CEO head coach, really. He's just a DC. No. And I think a lot of teams... You guys had
Dan Campbell in the building, and you brought Dennis Allen up to be your head coach. That's such a fail. Thank you, by the way. Thanks for Aaron Glenn and Dan Campbell, guys. That was awesome. Have fun with Dennis Allen. Again, unreal. Unreal. Such incompetency.
I think he reminds me a ton of a guy we touched on in the Kansas City video with Steve Spagnuolo, where if he was hired to be your DC, you're feeling good, man. And he was a really 100%. Good DC for these guys.
Great. He was a great DC.
But, last year, it was so evident, that Pete Carmichael was not the answer at offensive coordinator. You fire Pete Carmichael this year. I think it was the best decision you could have possibly made. I think Pete Carmichael was awful. I think the game has passed him by. I don't think that he had any idea identity-wise what he was doing. But you bring in, Klint Kubiak. He comes from the Shanahan tree, the Kyle Shanahan tree. He runs a very West Coast style of thing. It's a bit of an unknown for me. Based on what he's done in the past, I would expect a lot of play-action pass. I would expect a lot of zone running. I think, look, he's 37 years old. It's fresh. It's new. I would be at least hopeful about it as a Saints fan. He was the Vikings OC in 21. Mixed results. Wasn't great. Wasn't bad. It was kind of a bit of an up and down, but he was 34, 35. These things take time. The reality is he's got his work cut out for him. We touched on Derek Carr. Derek Carr was one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL last year, if not the worst, in the red zone. So what Klint Kubiak's homework is going to be coming into this year is, can I make this red zone offense kind of a thing with this quarterback who struggled so much last year in the red zone? I actually expect this offense to be a little bit better last year, more consistent. So we'll see on Klint Kubiak. We've talked about Carr. I kind of want to talk about I'm going to let you wax on the O-line in a minute, but before we do that, I do want to kind of point out some of my concerns from a talent perspective on the offensive side of the ball. And not so much a talent perspective, but just kind of an everything, right? I mentioned earlier, Alvin Kamara, one of my favorite players of all time, right? I mean, Andy, you know this. He's so my style of running back. I've always loved Alvin Kamara. And honestly, he came back last year after the suspension, and he was a very good check down merchant for Derek Carr. I mean, he was. He caught a lot of balls, a lot of 3-yard gains. Derek Carr looking one read, Derek Carr not open. I'm dumping it off to Alvin Kamara for 6 yards. He really excelled in that role, but he is no longer an elite explosive running back. So where does that leave you? Well, you've got one guy who I believe is an elite player and a whole lot of question marks. I'll start with the elite. I'll start with the good. I think Chris Olave is a very, very, very good wide receiver. I think he lacks a little bit of size and play strength to be a 1. I think he lacks a little bit of the insane breakaway speed to be a 1. But I do think that he is now flirting with being a top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, genuinely route runner in this league. He is very, very good at running routes, very good at getting open. I believe he is a 1 in this league. And I think that they landed a great piece. And I think that the Saints should do everything they can to retain that piece during this next rebuild that has to come, because I think they found themselves a very good wide receiver. I think my fear with him is that I'm not so sure that he's Devontae Adams, Justin Jefferson, where you can just put him in a lineup by himself and he can carry that. Juwan Johnson at tight end was a guy that I was excited about this year coming in, big guy. He was a wide receiver in college, moved to tight end. He showed great flashes last year, great hands, great contested catch. Got hurt this offseason, needs foot surgery. So you're not going to have Juwan Johnson for a lot of the year next year. He's expected to miss quite a bit of time. Huge L. Rashid Shaheed, he's a good deep threat. He was an all-pro last year as a return man. I keep seeing Saints fans trot that out like we have an all-pro and Rashid. He was an all-pro.
No, you don't. You're not at one. Not a position that matters. Yeah, right.
He was an all-pro.
You got an all-pro punter
returner.
Too. Yeah.
He was a returner all-pro.
Fuck out of here.
He's got a lot of juice, man. I don't know. He hasn't shown me from a route running perspective, from a route tree perspective, from a nuance perspective, that he can be a real wide receiver 2 for Chris Olave in a reliable way. I think I'm getting a lot of Gabe Davis from his role in this offense. It's a lot of deep shots. It's a lot of basic routes. It's a lot of hope for explosiveness. To me, when I go over these weapons, the 2 guys that are the young guns, this kind of sophomores on this team that I think really need to take a big step this year, are A.T. Perry at wide receiver, 6'4", really good red zone threat. Derek Carr is kind of notorious, for throwing up those kind of, red zone jump ball kind of not nonsense throws.
Yeah.
He kind of needs a big target, and Olave and Shaheed don't represent that. So can A.T. Perry kind of take a step with that length that he has and that size in those hands? And then Kendre Miller at running back. We talked about this in Cowboys. I think there's a real chance that Alvin Kamara is going to be traded this year. You got to find out what you have with Kendre Miller. He was hurt a lot last year at running back. It's his second season. There's been a lot of positive vibe talks around him in camp. We got to see what those two guys are, because for me, it feels a lot like the ghost of Alvin Kamara and a really good wide receiver in Chris Olave. And then what else? I'm going to kick it over to you to talk on the O-line, but I have some concerns about the war chest, so to speak. And Cedric Wilson's there too, and Aquinemius St. Brown. Good depth pieces, but by no means are going to be able to.
Was that a fart?
Was that a fart?
Yeah, get out of here, Aquinemius St. Brown.
Yeah,
Kiss
the
my
other
ass.
St. Brown.
Yeah, right. Oh, yeah.
I just wanted to mention the depth, but
Sure,
I'm
the
with
depth.
you. I mean,
Yeah.
it's to me. I said what I said. I feel like it really
You got
is
Chris
a
Olave
whole lot
and
of
4
Chris Olave.
4s. Yeah, it's Chris Olave and 4 4s. And you know what?
Yeah.
Your offensive line is so forgettable. They're so forgettable.
Oh, and
You
Derek
got
Carr
Eric-
sucks under pressure too. That's the other
of course.
problem.
So
yeah. It's so bad, dude.
It's just a forgettable offensive line.
Yeah.
You drafted Fuaga at 14, like I mentioned. You hope that he's good. I think Fuaga is going to be really good. I think Fuaga has the chance to be the best offensive lineman we see come out of this class. And it was a great class, right? I mean, you have Joe Alt, you have Fashawn Wu. Fuaga was really like that in college, so he could translate really well. And then I'll have egg on my face, but until I see that happen, I mean, you have Eric McCoy at center. He's really good. Cesar Ruiz, like I mentioned, he's the definition of mid. You have Nick Saldiveri, whatever that is, at left guard. He sucks. His PFF grade was 52.1. Ew. You have Trevor Penning. You had Trevor Penning at left tackle last year. 53.6 PFF. Again, a total and utter bust. You lost Andres Pete. And then you have Ryan Ramczyk, who I hate to be the bearer of bad news, guys, but he's not going to play again. I mean, his knee is cooked. You can sit here and have hope about it, but I don't think he's going to play. And he was your anchor. Him and McCoy together, even with Fuaga in there, that's a serviceable offensive line. Ramczyk out of there, McCoy a year older, and Fuaga a rookie. No, it's not going to be good. And Derek Carr's the one he's cooked. It's over.
It's giving David Bakhtiari.
It's over, man. He's
think
gonna fake. He might play like a game or two and then get injured again and then sit out for a year and then say that his rehab's going well and then it won't go well and then he might see the field one more time and then you're gonna cut him, and that's just what it's gonna be. It's over.
Tracy McGrady on the Spurs.
100%. It's cooked chicken, man. It's not happening. This O-line is not where it needs to be for a quarterback like Derek Carr. You got somebody who can move around a little bit and create some plays and use his feet. Again, it serves. I don't want to sit here and say you have nothing on this O-line. I think Eric McCoy's a really good center. And I think Fuaga, like I just said, it's going to be a really good left tackle. If you have those two pieces, you can be serviceable. I mean, again, Cesar Ruiz isn't trash. He's just not that good. You know what I mean? He just it is what it is. So, you get a guy you got a guy who can move around a little bit, and maybe you're something. And I don't know. To go back
it's not even the mobility factor. It's like the pocket presence factor of Carr that's a problem. Where it's
he's a robot. He's a robot.
Robots don't feel fear. They don't feel anything. They don't get hungry. They don't sleep.
I do. I have even had dreams.
It's just sort of like the pocket. He starts to feel the collapse too quickly sometimes.
Yeah,
and it's almost
100%.
like he just gets flustered, and it's I just feel like this offensive
fully
line
happens.
is so set up to create that problem way too much. I just don't understand what the direction is from a front office.
No, I don't either.
With
And
this
they're
roster.
better. Unfortunately for Keandre Miller, I think is that his name? Keandre Miller, whatever.
Kendra Miller, yeah.
Kendra, whatever. Unfortunately for him, they're much worse in run blocking than they are pass blocking. They're like a serviceable O line, but run blocking, they're like Cesar Ruiz is not good in the run block.
But Fuaga is going to be good in the run block. He will be.
Yeah, you hope so, but hope so. But again, he's a rookie. I don't know what he is. He might suck. You know what I mean? If it's anything like the last couple of draft picks you guys have made, I mean, he's not going to be good. So I don't know.
No, I'm with you.
I
have some major concerns.
Mickey Loomis, I'm sorry to cut you off. Mickey Loomis, you are not the smartest man in the room taking Spencer Rattler in the 4th round. No. Sorry. I'm sorry, but no. You make that man, you know what? You could be the smartest man in the room if you make sure that man doesn't see the field for like 2 years. Like, I don't want to see Spencer Rattler for 2 seasons. He needs to learn how to be a professional athlete. No, that's facts. But I don't even want to see it. Derek Carr will get hurt at some point. We will see somebody come in, and I hope that it's not Spencer Rattler because he showed promises last year at South Carolina, but he is not ready for the NFL by any metric. So don't sit here and sell me this bag of goods. Well, I got Spencer Rattler in the 4th round, and why would I take Drake May or J.J. McCarthy with a high pick? No, I'm not buying that either. I feel like that's one of those.
Why'd you take a quarterback at all if you're paying Derek Carr $100 million and you got rid of Jameis Winston, who could have been your bridge, and Andy Dalton, who could have been your bridge?
Because he's trying to be the smartest man in the room. He's trying to. He sees a
I
guy who was projected number 1 overall 2 years. I think he is too.
There's so much we could talk about with this offense, and just the confusion and some of the dislikes. I want to pivot over to what I believe is the better side of the ball.
Yeah, definitely.
There's some cracks in the leather, but it was a nice jacket a few years ago. It's still, you can still put it on. Listen, you know what I'm saying? It's one of those. It's like it's a vintage piece. It doesn't. It's not quite in style anymore, but you can still throw it on with the right outfit.
Yeah.
I'm gonna punt. I want to say kick, but it's really more of a punt at this point with this team. Honestly, I'm gonna 4th and long punt it over. Derek Carr just took a sack. Over to you on the front 7 to kind of get this show on the road here defensively. But before I do, like I said, we mentioned Dennis Allen. I want to just speak on the unit briefly, real fast. I do expect that this defense, assuming that they can stay healthy and assuming that they don't do what they should do, which is trade deadline about half of these guys, assuming they stay together and they stay healthy, I think it with Dennis Allen coaching with some of these guys, I think they could be pretty good. But I'll touch on the secondary in a minute. But let's start with the front 7. What are your thoughts on this group at this point?
Sure. You said they're a vintage piece.
Yeah.
They got dry rot, baby. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. Whoa. They got dry rot like a
death threat, dude.
That's okay. Same fans have already come for us, so I don't care. I'm over them. We said what we said at the beginning, and I'm gonna double down on it. You guys are like, are you kidding me? So okay, let's just go over the front 7. Let's go over the front 7 because it's not horrible. I think your linebacking core is actually like one of the best in the league. But man, your D line sucks. Your D line is not good. Chase Young, that's your big signing. This will be his 3rd team in 1 calendar year.
But they needed him desperately. They did.
Yeah, they needed him. No, they needed him terribly. He's gonna start, and he's not. I mean, he's not even gonna play initially because he's injured naturally, coming off of surgery. So he's probably gonna miss some time. I don't know. I just feel like the 49ers like just traded for him and then just threw him away. They're like, yeah, no, thank you. We're good. So he goes and signs with you guys, and you're watching and you go, of course that's the team that signs him. Of course that's the team that goes and grabs him. It's not. He's not it. Like he can still show you flashes sometimes when he's healthy. He's never healthy, and I think in your defense, particularly your defense, I don't expect it. I don't expect it to be any good. You got Carl Granderson, high effort player. He's stiff, not a ton of finesse, not a ton of bend. He's kind of just like a big body out there, but he is youngish. I think he's like 26 or 28, something like that. Versatile piece. He can play inside, outside. You know, he's a guy. He's a jag. He's just a guy. But he is a starting player, so I have to talk about him. I'm sorry, a moment of silence for Cam Jordan's career. Because holy shit, that guy's washed.
Mulder, you're all washed up.
He's not been good for 2 seasons, guys. Why are you rolling him out there? Why is he... You want to hear something crazy? He had 3 pressures in 7 games to end the season last year. 3 pressures.
No, that's so crazy, dude. That's
3
so crazy.
pressures. He is old as dirt. And he don't sell me... You know what, Cam Jordan... Hall of Famer. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. I'm not talking about the Cam Jordan that was 2017, 2018. Those Cam Jordans, that guy was a monster. The problem for Cam Jordan is that it's 2024, and he's no longer good. He should not even be on this team. He should not be on any team. He should be retired and probably on TV, guest spotting on Colin Cowherd's show, you know, once a week talking about football. But instead, he's getting a paycheck from you guys to go out there and stand. And it's just, it's actual grand larceny. It's full blown robbery that you guys are paying him to go put on a uniform and go stand out there and do absolutely nothing. He's just not good. You might get 1 or 2 plays like a season at this point, like where he looks like Cam Jordan of yesteryear. But he is so washed. It's not even funny. I feel bad for the guy. He's like so washed.
You gotta get out of the nostalgia business and into the reality business.
Dude, 100%.
You have to.
It feels very much like a team we recently talked about with the Patriots. It's like it's not you can't hold on to this forever. Going interior, you got Colin Sanders. He came over from Kansas City last year. You guys signed him, and he was actually quite good. He was a nice little piece for you guys. He's not like a world beater. He's not an elite standout defensive tackle, but he is versatile, and he's not a difference maker, but he is somebody who's going to disrupt the backfield. He's going to get a couple of sacks. He's going to be nice. You know, he's a solid piece, and that's kind of all I have on him. But I think he pairs very nicely with Brian Brees, and I do think Brian Brees is going to be very good. I think what you have in him, you got him you got him as a value pick. You got him from Denver by way of Miami, by way of San Francisco. So you end up with a late pick last year or 2023, and you grab him out of Clemson, and he's a good player. He's got a lot of finesse to him. He's got a lot of he moves in a way in which somebody who's that big should not move, right? He can shoot gaps, but that being said, he's not the type of guy who can take on, he's not dirty. Like, he's not the type of guy who can take on a double team. And if you do double team, like if somebody pins him and double teams him, whatever running back is behind those offensive linemen is going to get like 20 yards. He kind of is light on his feet. He's very easily movable. He doesn't have like a lot of gravitational pull. But I think that could change. I think with a certain workout regimen and a certain diet, I think that could really change for him. And then learning next to some, I know I just, completely eviscerated him, but Cam Jordan at one point was, I mean, the creme de la creme of edges, and he learning from somebody like that, a vet like that, can really give a young mind a lot of hope. In a defensive system, playing next to guys who are going to be Hall of Famers. I do have a lot of praise for Brian Brees because I do think he's going to be very good. Moving over to your linebackers, I actually think this is probably your best unit on the team. That's not saying much, but it is something. You have Demario Davis. I mean, star. You know what I mean? High IQ player. He's been an absolute anchor on your defense forever. Still performing at a really high level because I think his IQ is so good at this point that he is not having to use his athleticism as much. So he's not going to be the crazy like speed guy, but he just knows where to be at all times, which is such an impressive thing to watch. Like you're like, oh man, he's going to fall off this year. Oh man, he's going to fall off this year. And he just never does. But that being said, he is 35. So like I don't know. I have no idea. Like he could fall off this year. But would I put money on Demario Davis falling off this year? I wouldn't. No, I think he understands the game on such a level that he is able to really extend his longevity when it comes to playing and keep his body fine because he knows where to be. He's not getting tangled up in things. He's not making stupid plays. He's not, hurting his neck or diving at somebody or doing this or doing that. He's just kind of always in the right spot. And much like Pete Werner, honestly, you can tell that Pete Werner has played with Demario Davis for a few years. Probably like the best option you can have is like your linebacker 2, right? He's not better than Demario Davis, but he's not much worse. He's a total headhunter. He's kind of your like gritty guy. Like if you have Demario Davis as your IQ guy, Werner's kind of your assassin guy. He's going to go out there and do the dirty work. I think he's a really solid piece for this offense or for this defense. He's not like great in coverage, but he's not terrible either. But in like run protect, he's gonna go headhunting. 100% he is. You brought in Willie Gay, which I really like. It's he's just a rotational piece, but in certain packages, when you might send a Demario Davis up or a Werner up and kind of have them come off the edge, he can kind of be your guy in coverage who can hang. Like I said, Demario Davis is not going to give you tons of speed. Werner's not going to give you a ton of speed either, but Willie Gay is going to give you a ton of speed. He can kind of fall back into coverage and hang with the middle of the field guys for if need be for a second. So that's like as good of a good of a linebacking trio as you can have. Again, the unit as a whole, it's just aged. It's just really aged. I would love to see the Saints get an edge there that is worth a damn. I don't believe in Chase Young at all. And like I said, Cam Jordan needs to hang it up. If you could bring in a high level edge, whether that be through like free agency trade or preferably draft next year, now you might be talking, because now you could have, if that edge hits, now you have 2 interior guys who are quite good. You have an edge who could be quite good, and then you still have this linebacker core. And I do think when Demario Davis falls off, because it will happen, Werner will fit into that role very nicely, because he's been kind of learning from Davis this whole time. And yeah, I don't know. It's a team that's going nowhere, so I guess it doesn't really ultimately matter. But what's the secondary look like? I didn't do too much research on them. I know that was kind of your.
That was a great analysis, though, man. Like I think you provided at least a lot of insight into a unit that I do think will be pretty decent, but I think is at the end of its run. This whole thing
100%.
needs a refresh. I feel kind of the same way about the DB group, to be honest with you. Guys I like, very similar to Cam Jordan and, Davis, these veteran pieces, Chase Young even. It's like good pieces with question marks or age concerns, right?
Sure.
I think Paulson Adebo is a very, very good corner there. I think Alante Taylor is okay at corner. But your guy is Marshawn Lattimore, who's been an absolute star in this league. The problem I have with Marshawn Lattimore is that he's been chilling with Michael Thomas on the all-body cast team for the last couple of years. He's not played a full season in years. So what's the plan? Are you going to, you drafted Kool-Aid McKinstry out of Alabama. I feel neutral about the pick. Kool-Aid to me is a guy who can make plays on the ball. He comes from Alabama, so I trust Saban. But he lacks speed, and he gets cooked way too much for my liking. I don't believe he's going to be a corner 1 in this league. So maybe you drafted him to replace Alante Taylor. Maybe he's just going to kind of be on the bench next year. But if your plan is to trade Lattimore, like I think you should, to get out of some of that money, you're going to put Kool-Aid in that spot? I don't know that that's going to work. Paulson Adebo, like, is he going to be a corner one? So I have concerns with it, but I do think there's some really good players back there. I mean, Tyrann Mathieu, man, he's a star. He's a star.
Yep.
He's really developed into one of the better safeties in the game, and he has been for a few years, going back to Kansas City. He's been great in New Orleans, but once again, man, he's 32, going to be 33 soon, not too long from now. So how many more years does this guy have left as a foundational piece in your defensive backfield? Marshawn Lattimore, a player I love. How many more games is he going to be healthy? Are you even going to be on your final roster at the end of next season? Are you going to trade him? So I mean, I don't want to go too far into the DBs. I think it's a good unit. I really do. I think there's a lot of potential. I think their head coach is a very, very good defensive coordinator. He's going to have those guys playing at a high level, but they're going to have to stay healthy. They're going to have to stay together, and they're going to have to. I mean, Kool-Aid's going to have to be a good player if Lattimore gets hurt or gets traded, which I think he's going to. So that's kind of it, man. And to close out this kind of like, very. I think you guys see at this point. Like, comment, subscribe. If you're Bucs fans, welcome. Thanks for staying this long.
Bucs fans, Panthers fans, Falcons fans, how we doing? Saints fans, sorry
I've changed
about
my
it,
address, so good luck.
Yep.
Here's the thing. Before we get out of here, we're not going to like every team. We're always going to come on this channel and keep it 8 more than 92 about our opinions about these teams. And the reality is, I do not like this team this year. I think perfect pivot to our final segment on predictions. To me, this is the year that the wheels fall off. I think this is the year that Mickey Loomis has the very, very, very high interest, expensive credit card bill come in the mail with a notice sign written in red. And I think that he is going to have to make some major decisions and some major moves. I do not believe in Derek Carr in this situation. Sometimes I believe in Carr. I don't think he's the worst, but not right now. I think Kamara's days of being a superstar are done, although I do like Kamara. I think Olave is a very good wide receiver, but is not going to be able to pull the weight alone. I think this O-line sucks. I think this defense is long in the tooth. And I think your head coach is not a head coach, period. So where does that leave you? I'm going last in the division this year. I'm doing it. I'm taking the lead. I think Carolina takes a small step forward. I think the season's going to start out okay for you. I think because of the division you're in and your schedule, I do think you are going to win some games. But I think you'll tie with Carolina at about a 7-10 record this year, 6-11 potentially. And I think it's going to be, best case scenario, 3rd place, worst case scenario, 4th. I don't think you're outperforming Atlanta. I don't think you're outperforming Tampa Bay. I don't believe in this football team. So that's what it is. And I'll send it over to you to close this out, brother. That's it.
I totally agree. I think it's fire sale season too. I mean, I think Kamara will end up on the Cowboys like halfway through the year. I could see Demario Davis, please send him to like a contender so he can go out on top.
Lattimore feels like a 49er.
Lattimore feels, yes, or Eagle would like a word. Demario Davis feels like an Eagle. I think the good GMs will be coming to you guys about halfway through the year and saying, let's offload that over here. We'll give you a 4th rounder. We'll give you a 3rd rounder. And you need to take it, point blank period, because you cannot keep going on with this garbage,
Yeah, I goes, hey, by the way, just since you're here, you mind? I also have a Derek Carr too. If you want to offload that. Oh,
no,
I'm
thanks.
Stuffed. I couldn't possibly have another.
I couldn't possibly. Yeah, literally.
It looks divine. It does. I'm gonna let you. You got to have something for you too. Don't let me get everything. Please hold on to it. Hold on.
100%.
Take it.
And I have you at 5-12. And before you come at me with the whole, but we won 9 games last year. Let's go over those 9 games. You beat Tennessee. They finished 7th. You beat Carolina. They were the worst team in the league. You beat them twice. You beat New England. They were the 3rd worst team in the league. You beat, Chicago. They were the 10th worst 10th worst team in the league. You beat New York Giants. They were the 6th worst team in the league. You beat Atlanta. They were the 8th worst team in the league. So congratulations on your win over Indianapolis and Tampa. You guys stink. I don't know what to tell you. This is like, it's such a lie. You know what I mean? Like it's a lie. I watched one game of you guys last year, and it was when my Detroit Lions came into your house and just beat the brakes off of you for two whole quarters, and then took our foot completely off the gas and still ended up beating you. It ain't it. It's time to reset. It's time to restart. You guys are a really storied franchise. I don't hate the Saints.
No,
I think the Saints are. I think I hate what you've become because of how dope your franchise is. You hate it
because it's dishonest. You hate it because it's not 100%. It's not. It's living in the past. It's flex tape over a bullet wound, and it's putting it on it and going,
to the game.
Guys, go ahead, renew those season tickets. We still got Kamara, we still got Olave, we got Derek Carr. Like, come on down to the Superdome, and it's like, no, you guys need to be bad again for a couple of years and build this thing back up from the ground up.
It's disrespectful to the game, honestly.
Agreed.
It's like
Agreed.
You don't get to just go 87 million over the cap and think that you're going to be a contending team. There's a reason there's a cap. There's a reason that every other 31 GMs in the league and finance departments figures this out. But continuously, you guys just keep kicking the can down the road, and you're so, we'll figure it out. We'll write it off in bonuses and this and that. And it's like, no, this doesn't work. This doesn't work. So
it's over.
That's where I'm at with it. I think you're gonna come in last in the division. I don't think you're gonna be the worst team in the league, but it's not much better. I think you'll pick like 5th or 6th, and you're still gonna miss out on a top end quarterback. But what do I know?
That's why they play the games, my friend. Guys, thank you so much. NFC South fans, Saints fans, thank you guys for watching. If you've made it this far, we appreciate it more than you know. So like, comment, subscribe. Thanks a million, man. Thanks for doing this. I appreciate it, man. It was a lot of fun. A lot of fun talking about a team that we're not crazy about. So have a good one.
I'm crazy about that city, though. You guys are a fun time.
The best. A great franchise, man. It's time to reset.
And you know what? We'll be seeing you in February when my Detroit Lions come on down there to win the Super Bowl. We'll be making an appearance.
All right.
See you then. Peace.
Bye, guys.